Hey, Matt Griffith here. Welcome to Places to Go. You know what's great about Black Friday? Deals. You know what's not so great? Waiting 2 months for something that should have taken 2 weeks. So I did something that's been on my to-do list for quite some time. I bought a 23andMe and an Ancestry.com DNA test. Because, let's be honest, I was dying to know what percentage Viking, pirate, or ancient royalty I might be. And let me tell you, the difference between these two tests, night and day. One had my results before I could even binge watch a new Netflix series, and the other, well, it felt like I was waiting for my dial-up internet to load a web page in 1997. Let's break it down. Which test is worth your money, which one took forever, and what crazy things I found about my ancestry. So I snagged both a 23andMe and Ancestry DNA on Black Friday because, let's be real, I'm not paying full price just to find out I'm probably 99% European like every other person who's ever taken these tests. Unless you're a Native American Indian, you're from Europe. Think about it. The United States could easily have been called New Europe. After all, New York was originally called New Amsterdam, and then there's New Braunfels, Texas, named after Braunfels, Germany, which is a hidden tourist secret that only Europeans seem to know about. And New Orleans, after Orleans, France. I could go on and on. The process? Easy. Spit in a tube. But when I say spit, like 2 to 3 minutes of spitting to get the volume that they need. Then you mail it back. You wait for them to unlock the secrets of your DNA, and that's when the waiting game starts. And I quickly realized that not all DNA companies are created equal. First up is 23andMe. They acknowledged the receipt of my sample within just a couple of days. Less than 2 weeks later, boom, I had my DNA results ready. That's like Amazon Prime speed for genetic testing. Ancestry DNA, they took a month just to acknowledge that they even received my sample. I actually thought it got lost in the mail. It took 2 months before they finally processed my results. I'm pretty sure that I could have traveled to all the countries in my DNA results before they even finished the test. By the time Ancestry got my results back, I felt like I needed another DNA test just to see if my genes had changed in the meantime. So yeah, 23andMe wins the speed test. Now on to the fun part. What did my DNA actually say? Well, according to 23andMe, I'm 65.2% British and Irish. The genetic groups include England, Scotland, and Ireland. Basically, my ancestors were either drinking tea or raiding castles. 31.1% are French and German with strong ties to Switzerland, the canton of Bern, Zurich, and Schaffhausen. And let me tell you, when I visit rural Switzerland, I feel at home, and now I know why. A sprinkle of 0.7% Finnish, 1% Northern West Asian, Anatolian actually, and 0.2% North African, because why not? Now, Ancestry DNA, they say that I'm 50% from England and Northwestern Europe, 21% Scotland, 19% Germanic Europe, which included Belgium. Okay, sure. And 10% Ireland. So similar, but a little less detailed. And those numbers pretty much correlate as they have defined the geographic areas a little differently. Basically, my ancestors spent a lot of time in Europe drinking wine and beer, fighting wars, and somehow making their way to West Virginia. So here's where it gets really interesting. My dad was adopted, which meant I had no clue about his biological ancestry. His biological father's last name was Webb, which is German. His grandmother's maiden name, Kasdorf, also German. My dad's adoptive father was Matt Griffith, born in 1899 in Griffithsville, West Virginia, a town literally named after his ancestors, who was granted that land by King George III before the U.S. even became a country. And Griffith's lineage, we're talking Prince Griffith of Wales in the 1100s. So yeah, technically, I might be royalty. I'm the end of the line from my father's side, kind of like the last of the Mohicans, but the last of the Griffiths. Sure, I did my part and created 2 sons, but there's no one alive prior to me on my father's side to test. Now, my mom's turning 80 this year, and I'd love for her to take one of these tests so I can finally piece together which parts of my ancestry locations come from her side. I was able to meet my father's biological mother before she passed several years ago, and I'm still in contact with her 3 daughters, which are my dad's half-sisters, and some of those cousins I have on that side as well. I'd also love to get them tested to see who's responsible for which geographic regions on that side. This is why DNA tests are so cool. You get to fill in the gaps of your family history in a way that wasn't possible even 20 years ago. So if you're thinking about taking a DNA test, here's my final verdict. Go with 23andMe if you want fast results and more detailed results as well as some genetic health markers. Ancestry DNA is better for deep family tree connections, but only if you're patient. Buy these tests on Black Friday because they're expensive. If your parents are still alive, get them to take one. It's the only way to get the full picture of what parts are from your mom's side and what parts are from your dad's side. Are you worried about privacy? Well, you can use a fake name when registering your sample. There's nothing that says that you have to use your real name. At the end of the day, both tests were fun, but if I had to do it all over again, I'd start with 23andMe because waiting 2 months for Ancestry felt like waiting for Windows 95 to boot up. For me, I'll be honest, I actually like doing both, just because it was nice to kind of get confirmations from both sides, and there's a little bit of, I don't know if I want to say discrepancies, but there's a little bit of difference between the two, but for the most part, I would say that they about 95% line up pretty well. One thing to keep in mind, 23andMe has been struggling financially. Their stock has plummeted. They've had multiple rounds of layoffs, and some analysts are even questioning if they'll survive long term. If they go under, it raises concerns about what happens to all that genetic data that they've collected. So if you're thinking about getting a DNA test, now might be the time while they're still around, and with a pen name. So what do you think? Have you taken a DNA test? Did you discover anything unexpected? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if I find out I'm related to a king, I'll invite you all to the castle. So see you in the next one. Take care.